Missing 2 people today. So far, we're missing 2 people. But I've done shows by myself before, live. So it's not going to be a problem. Oh, there's Schlong there. Oh, hang on one second. We can do it. We do have a special guest today. No, it's not Bryce. Mark is in some foreign country. I'll pull up Bryce here. One second. Ready for the show. Got him. There we go. There he is.
What up, dude? Couldn't have waited a minute.
What's that?
Couldn't have waited a minute.
I know. People are like, tapping.
Oh, yeah.
Andy was upset in the chat, so we had to start. I knew you'd be there.
Yeah. Special guest, Mateo.
It is. That is a special guest, but it's not.
Mark is shipped off to Thailand. He's been replaced by someone much better at DFS than him that you guys will see in a bit here.
Yeah. So exciting day yesterday. We, man, you had some blowout scripts. The Buffalo game did run out big time. Thank you. That's not the UPS driver. The game had just a massive amount of scoring. And this is the game this gentleman played. So the winner of the Millie, who we were tracking all day, and it held, as I said in my tweet, is a beloved member of our Discord. Often puts together some graphic design work memes to haze me and haze members of our team, but it's all in good fun. So we're going to bring him up. And I said to the group today, our team, our leadership team at Rumpier Sports, I don't want to do this unless he agrees. I don't want to just look like we're leeching onto someone's Millie. That's not what we do around here. We genuinely love this guy, and he agreed to do it.
Sean, Mark, and I have been friends for years. He was hanging out in Louisville with all the RPS guys for like WWE. What was that, like a year ago now? Something like that. So
let's bring him up. There he is. You got the Mark spot, Sean.
The man himself.
Appreciate it, guys.
So Sean Smith is a member of our Discord. He won the Millie yesterday. I'm going to ask you this: how were your emotions late on the slate as you were getting closer to the end?
Oh, it's pretty funny. I was watching the games, and my oldest daughter wasn't feeling good, and so she was just laying on the couch. She was taking a nap. When the afternoon games ticked off, and about 6 o'clock, I had a lineup that was with McConkey and Connor that was making moves until Ladd forgot how to catch a ball or get any targets. But I had texted Bryce. I'm like, hey, if Ladd gets going, I think we're going to make some moves. And he had me blocked because he had, I think, like the Evans run back. And so at 6 p.m., I basically just shut it down because I'm about to take the girls upstairs and start getting ready for bed. And that's when my oldest decided she was going to throw up. And so here I am, trying to clean up puke. And then while my other daughter was, running around with the wife. And so finally get him upstairs at like 6:30. And at this point, like I said, TV was off. I had my phone in my pocket and starts buzzing. I'm like, what's going on with my phone? And I get tagged in Discord. And they're like, hey, Sean, are you watching this? I'm like, no, it's time for bed for the girls. I was like, what's going on? They're like, you making a run. And so I take a peek, and I was in third, I think, at that time. So like 6:30, I'm still not watching any of the games. And then putting one girl down, and I get a FaceTime from Mark. And I'm like,
oh, God, what time was that? Because those are dangerous.
Mark was having a good time.
Yep.
But I was outside, cleaning off, just the furniture. And I'm like, well, I'm outside. I'm not even watching right now. He's like, you're not watching the games? I was like, no. I was like, but I know what's going on. And he's like, well, we're all here rooting for you. And at that point, I was like, I felt like I had a good shot. And, of course, was trying not to look at my phone. And, it's just me. And I went to my garage fridge, grabbed a beer, chugged it, went back, got another one, chugged it just to calm the nerves down. So then get upstairs, and I'm putting one girl down for bed, and Bryce calls me. He's like, hey, man, what's going on? And he's checking in on me, too. I was like, and I'm not even watching. I was like, one girl's watching Bluey on the TV upstairs, just trying to stay off everything. He's like, well, unless the worst outcome happens, you're clear. He's like, but don't worry, Detroit's gonna. But obviously, with that lineup, I had everything covered. And then Sadie was like, my wife was like, who are you talking to? And I was like, oh, Bryce, that one of the guys from Louisville. She's like, well, what's going on? I'm like, not to jinx it, but I was like, we're probably like 2 minutes away from winning $1 million. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, the game's going on. She's like, well, what has to happen? I'm like, nothing.
The question after that for me is always, well, how much did it cost? It's always that was question.
The next. She knows a little just because I've had a couple big wins this year, and she's like, well, how much did you play? I was like, it was $3,000 to enter, and she's like, what? I was like, well, it was yeah, but I was
what?
like, it's $20 a lineup, and she's like, so what happens if for you not to win $1 million? I'm like, well, Detroit has to get like recover an onside kick and a touchdown to somebody I don't have. I was like, but it's looking good. And the game goes final, and I'm actually feeding my daughter, the youngest daughter, to put her down for bed, and Mark FaceTimes again, going crazy. Like, I forgot who all was with Mark at that time. But, for the next, 30 minutes, I just kind of sat on the couch, just in silence, hoping that there wasn't any, 17-point stat correction or something crazy. Right. And then, so again, texting everybody, congratulating me. And then, it was one of the ones, I think 45 minutes after this game was over, DK paid out. I was like, all right, DraftKings, you can't take it back now.
Yeah. Immediately go to PayPal. Immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been wild,
good for you.
12, 13 hours.
Someone mentioned on Twitter the no run back. What was your process with either correlation, no correlation, or building this lineup? I know you did a 150 max, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But generally, were you focusing on the Buffalo game? Did you isolate certain plays? What was your heaviest?
Ironically, golf was one of my lightest QBs in the file. But I knew with golf, I was always going to double stack them. So that's kind of one of the settings I had set up in SaberSim was, golf doubles. And I was not forcing a run back. So if I would have got, the Shakir or someone to go along with that was fine. But looking at the people I was heavy on, I've been on Brian Thomas almost all year, especially with Lawrence going down. He's the alpha on that team. Mac Jones is going to go to him. He's double-digit targets the past 3 weeks, and he was due for a breakout. And opposite of him, was Devontae Adams, which, he's Aaron Rodgers' guy. Whether or not people want to believe it or not, another double digits all the last 2 weeks, I think. And then Strange fell in there just because everyone was on Smart. And Strange, I was talking to Bryce that morning. Their props were basically the same. I mean, it might have edged slightly towards Smart a little bit, but Strange came in at 9%. Smart was probably anywhere from 25 to 30. So having Strange helped get that leverage off of the cheap chalk tight end there. And then honestly, Chase Brown, was one of the ones people were paying down for running back. So I wanted to pay up with at least one, and Chase Brown fit. Sure. Stevenson, he just kind of fell in there, and he did enough for me.
And you paid up for KC defense, right?
No, that one had Denver.
Oh, Denver. So yeah, the nuts.
I mean, yeah. So I got two questions for you. We've been friends a long time. When did it hit you that you actually won it? Was it today, or was it last night, or has it hit you yet?
I think it finally hit me that I won it when I got the email from DK saying you've been paid. And then
it's you have $1 million in your account.
Yeah, it's just wild. You open up the phone, on the phone, obviously it says 1 million. I'm just like, holy shit, But yeah, it was probably once I got that payment, and then I had a couple buddies, texting me. He's like, "Hey, what were you doing?" I was like, "You guys know what I was doing." I was like, "It's that time." I was upstairs with the girls, getting them ready for bed, So I think it's better that I wasn't watching because I would have been even more nervous just trying to figure out the outs that I had and what was that, what could have possibly hurt me.
What? Go ahead, Bryce.
And then what's it called? I mean, that was one of the biggest Millie winning margins that I've seen. Like a 20-point margin is pretty crazy. I mean, you could have gotten 0 from Stevenson. Like he could have not played and you could have still won. Because that was like the one like dud like in the lineup. It was just the absolute stone nuts other than that. So dude, congratulations once again. Having that first big hit, and I mean, I've never won a Millie, is just such an unreal feeling.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously this big set I've had, but this has probably been the best year I've had DFS wise on DraftKings. I mean, a couple weeks ago, I had that full weight chop on a showdown with Cincinnati, Baltimore, and then on Monday night or last week or whatever, I was in that another chop, which was like 50 ways or whatever on Showdown. But obviously, main slate, this is by far the biggest and the best.
Question for you. And these runs come, these heaters just come to you and stay for a little while. Look at Giant Squid. I mean, I think he won what, 3 millies in a row. He was up there too. I mean, he was battling, right? With Giant Squid always up there. You mentioned Saberson. So, have you given any thought to this slate today? Speaking of the 2-gamer for $500,000, have you looked at it at all? Or are you still on edge from last night?
No, I'm not on edge anymore. I mean, last night the Old Forester helped take the edge off.
There you
go. I've taken a little bit of a look at it, but I've been in meetings all day with the holidays and stuff, just with different managers trying to figure out a game plan for this week and next week. So I'll probably sit down here probably an hour or so and take a look at it. But what was it this morning on the show? They were talking about there's so many different ways you can attack this slate. Just with all the quarterbacks, you can get their decent totals. But as far as a deep dive, I haven't jumped into it. I mean, only thing I've done is I've just got my entries reserved.
Do you feel less productive today and just feel like you could walk out and it not matter? Like,
it was one of the ones like the wife this morning. She's like, "Well, what are you going to do?" I was like, "Well, it's Monday.
Nothing.
It's meetings, emails, and probably just go to the coffee shop and build lineups later after I watch Showdown Kings." And then Mark texted me this morning. He was like, "Hey, can you jump on the show during your schedule?" And I was like, "What time?" He was like, 1. I was like, "Yeah, I got a meeting at 12. We'll see how fast we can get through it." But no, I mean, typically that's every Monday, I start the day off, kind of with y'all shows, just seeing what y'all are talking about, trying to get some ideas and kind of help game plan.
Well, I did see you tag the guys to the Discord. I know you just inadvertently forgot to tag me, and that's okay. But we appreciate you, man. I don't know, Bryce, any closing words before we let Sean go to work?
K King Dallas gets even bigger. The legend keeps growing, dude. Congratulations once again.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, man. I love you guys, and appreciate you and all the time you spend in Discord and all your comedy that you provide us. So, thank you, Sean. Good day. Good luck at work.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Thanks, man. We broke it. There we go. Well, there you go. Another friend wins $1 million. First it was circling the drain. Now it's Sean. What are we going to do?
I mean,
it's our time.
I mean, we have to win the 500 tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other option. Can't have Sean show us up too much. But
no, I was chopping the Wildcat last night in Showdown. I really felt good about it. Removed both quarterbacks. I just didn't need one more toss to Dobbs late, and that happened. That was just not essential, and it happened, but that's okay. I feel like a process has been honed in on this show, Bryce. And personally, I don't know your thoughts. I love these 2-gamers.
I mean, 2-gamers are some of my favorites just because I think people play it like with too many rules. People love to make rules on 2-gamers. Like they'll split up, like, I don't know, something like Bijan Algier could like easily win this slate.
Yes. Like
double running back. And like
Algier's a 7-pointer.
Yeah, I mean, and people won't play them together.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I mean, the Vegas running back situation is – I actually like the Sincere McCormick guy, but it's not like he's, like, a lock for, like, 10 points or anything. I mean, Bijan and Algier could, like, easily get there together, like, if Aaron Jones busts.
I don't want anything super funky like 3 wide receivers from Vikings. So I may limit, just say, hey, don't get too crazy. But we have seen, on slates, even in classic build, full slates, where we've had recently 2 Bears receivers on the same optimal winning lineup. So I agree. Not too many rules today. I think for me, and I'll ask you this. By the way, this show is brought to you by Ponderosa. Have it your way. Have your steak barrel cut. Just yell the code Mark. Where is Mark? Is he actually in Thailand?
I mean, I believe so, unless he changed plans. After Sean won the Millie, he's just like, fuck it. I'm going to like Thailand or Colombia. So
on Sean's money? Why is Sean at work?
No, I think just to celebrate, and he invited Sean, and Sean's like, oh, no, I got to go work today. Those of you who don't know, Sean is the bunt cake king in Dallas, Texas, or Fort Worth.
I should have gone into that. Go ahead. Say what is that?
You know nothing bunt cakes, like BUNDT?
No. But I know bunt cakes, but I don't know the store.
Yeah, it's like the biggest bunt cake like franchise in the U.S. They're actually really good, and I don't even like cake. He like franchises them in Dallas. So
that's why he's the cake boss in Discord. I didn't correlate that with Sean.
Yeah, that's why he's cake boss.
Just like Joe Cole is MN.
Yeah.
Joe Cole will be in this comment section here soon. It's a huge chain. Adam knows. The cake boss. Yes, nice, Kevin. But I was going to say, bring it back around. I think that here, it's like the Matrix in when you build a classic slate with a 150 build or a 50 build or whatever. Is that if you narrow a quarterback pool, or you make it too broad, like tonight. I mean, you're gonna eliminate a lot of lineups if you don't play a bit of each quarterback. And I think if you go too heavy into one and he doesn't print, then you've eliminated all your lineups. And I think there's a good case that at least 3 of these quarterbacks can have a similar ceiling, and they're similarly priced, in my opinion. And I don't think there's cost savings to be had in the quarterback position to say, well, I need to spend out a Desmond Ridder and his 12 bullshit points in order to get the other players in my lineup. I think on this slate, pricing softer in classic, you just find who's gonna have the most points. For you, at least the quarterback, start there in our decision tree. Where's your heaviest play?
So, yeah, I think quarterback exposure and how you play them is most important. I'm likely going to be double stacking most of these guys. I think Caleb can be single stacked. I'm assuming Ritter starts tonight.
Yes, he is.
AOC.
Yep.
So Ritter can actually run like a little bit, not an unreal amount. But I would probably have him double stacked as well. I was falling into something around like 40% Darnold.
Yeah.
And, that might be a little low. I'd be willing to go up to 50% on him. Minnesota's obviously in the best spot here, I think. Just dome game. But I like Caleb a lot.
Look at his last game. I mean, that was his coming out party. He put up nearly 30 points.
I mean, I think his receivers are, Chicago's just not expensive. Their most expensive guys, DJ Moore, 5.8. So, that's another thing on the slate. You only have 2 studs. You got Jefferson and Bijan, and then Bauer's a tight end, obviously. But there's not a lot of spends for a 2-game slate, So I kind of think that I said I wasn't going to make rules, but I'm going to max out Sauer. So I think a way to get different would be to fade both Bijan and Jefferson, if you're hand building a team, and then just go straight mid-tier.
Yeah, to me, on a very weak running back slate, like Bijan almost seems like a must-have. On a classic slate, you can get away with it because there's other price points that are going to get you the 22, 25 points that Bijan will get there. But this is like a showdown somewhat. I mean, who's going to really surpass Bijan on a slate like this? It's almost like a lock play.
Yeah, I mean, you have to play 2 running backs. Most of my teams will not be 3 running backs today. Like, I'm not going to make a rule to not like have it because, like, I don't know. I could see like Bijan. I don't mind McCormick.
I like McCormick.
Do you think Swift plays tonight?
I think Swift plays because he's done this, I guess, recently. 2 missed practices, limited. But the problem with Swift is he sucks. He sucks when he does play. He sucks injured or not injured. And to me, I think if I want to say, okay, I want to beat 30% of lineups off the bat, I think 35% of lineups probably will play Swift. I may just get aggressive here. Like I got aggressive last night in my showdown build and just said, fuck it. I don't think expensive Geno Smith is going to be on a winning lineup. Let me just take out 40% of the field here first. And it worked. Here, the same thing is with Swift. I like a lot of the 5K prices. If you're not going to play a running back in flex price, then there's a lot better 5K range options than DeAndre Swift. To me, I like Travis Homer better at a 4K price. I think that he could be a better pass catching option. And I think that in that range down, I think he's 4K on the Stones. I'm not going to play a ton of them, but if one of my eliminations is going to be Swift, and I'm just going to stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. The one positive Swift does have going for him is that, he's been seeding a lot of goal line work to Roschon, who's not playing tonight. So I do expect Swift, if he plays, to be the goal line back. Like Travis Homer is more pass catcher. Not that he's like a scat back, but like he's not really a goal line guy. Like I think Swift would get the goal line carries over him tonight.
It also ups the rushing upside, which we love in quarterbacks for Caleb Williams, right? He could easily run into. I mean,
yeah, I like Caleb a lot tonight.
A lot. I think
he's the one quarterback that I really want to buy on. Like, I mean, I think that I love Darnold, obviously, but he's going to be the chalk. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
No doubt. I think Caleb will be in the sub 25% range. I'll probably be close to 35, 40%. We'll get to the Atlanta game because there's some tough spots that could surprise us. But on the Chicago side, Moore priced well, Keenan Allen priced well. Both had 20-point games against Minnesota, albeit I think it went to overtime last time out. But both have highest scoring receiver opportunity for themselves. Anything else on this Bears side? Komet? Pieces of it.
I think you can punt Komet. Tight end is very strong for a 2-game slate.
Very.
Especially with Hawkinson back in the mix. I think Hawkinson's a great play at 4.8. Like, I mean, I would prefer Hawkinson to, any of these like cheap running backs. Personally, I think Algier would kind of be the only one that I would prefer him over. I do think that they give Sincere McCormick a good amount of run here.
Yeah.
But we can get to that game.
I saw Sincere McCormick play against Tampa Bay, and I was like, this guy should be the starter, no doubt.
And I mean, Tampa Bay has a good run defense too.
Yeah, and he looked really good. Let's go to Minnesota here, and listen, you've got Sam. This is the highest total on the board, single team total, 26 points. This will probably be a shootout, I'd say.
I definitely think this game is more likely to shoot out than the next one. I am not a Desmond Ridder fan, at all. I think he's absolutely atrocious.
No, and I think Cousins has thrown 8 interceptions and 0 touchdowns those last 4 games. 0. He's thrown 0 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. So I don't believe in. Well, Max Crosby's out though, so you got to consider that. But the Minnesota side will be interesting. I mean, you've got. Is Bryce okay?
Yeah, Mateo was eating something he wasn't supposed to.
I could tell. It's like a nervous dad.
Well, we've been selling Pokemon cards, my sister and I, online, which is why I was at the post office before.
Yeah.
And he had like the post office receipt in his mouth that like you like need to like prove that you shipped it in case there's like any issues like with the order.
Oh, I thought he had the actual Pokemon card in his mouth.
No, that would be bad. Got Charizard right here.
What's that worth?
On the desk. This one, first edition, rated 8, probably goes for like 15 grand.
Are you where did you acquire that?
My dad collected them, and
no kidding.
Yeah, I think it's my sister wants to kind of liquidate the Pokemon cards. I don't have any like real connection to them, but like he has like his whole collection, like including the boxes and stuff, was like 100K. And if he had 2 first edition Charizards, and if they had gotten rated 10s, like that's like a 250 grand card. Like getting these cards graded is such a sweat.
Yes. Mateo, watch your mouth. By the way, you trimmed your beard. Mark's gonna shit himself.
Yeah, I had to. My beard gets itchy when it gets long.
It's just
no matter what I put on it. I like your length is like kind of like my preferred beard length. I like to have like a shadow.
I've gone longer before. I'm like, this looks stupid. This looks gross.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever go bald, I might grow a beard or like try and.
You're not going to go bald. Let me see your hair.
It's getting a bit.
How old are you?
31.
No, you're good. You passed a great test. You'd be known by now.
Yeah.
So on the Minnesota side, so Darnold probably 30%. Let's say 30 to 22, so 50 to 60% of the quarterback positions will be in this game for the field. I probably think it's a reasonable number. Addison, monster game last time out against Chicago. He's had monster games, in a lot of these weeks. Jefferson with him last time out, but Addison still had a monster. Addison's 40% owned. Jefferson by name brand will be 50% owned. But I think you have to have one of these two. I think one of these two ultimately will end up on the slate. Do you not believe? If they don't, then one hand build is going to be 70% of the lineups.
Yeah, I mean, it would. If you aren't playing these guys, I would play Aaron Jones and like Hawkinson, because like those are the other two that I think like could get the touchdowns funneled to them.
Hawkinson may be my favorite tight end today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any faith. I mean, Bowers is obviously a beast. I don't have any faith in Ritter.
That's the problem.
I will say that, I do think that Ritter looks to Bowers as like his go-to guy. I like Bowers much more than like a Jacoby Myers here with Ritter at quarterback.
But here's the thing. When Tampa Bay said, listen, if we just key on Bowers the entire game, it's going to fuck up the entire thing for the Raiders. And they did that, and they went to Mayer.
Yeah, you saw Max Mayer have 9 targets.
Yes. So that's why I like Hawkinson at a 48 price point. I mean, he's just a different specimen. They've got other options. They've got a good quarterback. And, again, against Chicago, had a great night. Double tight end lineup is absolutely on the table considering the strength today.
I think almost all of my team is going to be double tight end or 4 receiver. Just looking at it now, running like dummy builds. I think the quarterback allocation is key here, and like, how to stack and bring back. I would definitely run a bring back tonight.
Yeah, I think to my Bijan, Aaron Jones senior, Bryce Morrow senior, is definitely 1B to Bijan, possibly, Lockworthy on this slate, Aaron Jones and Bijan. He's a good price point, 6,500. You can see him getting a touchdown. If Minnesota's going to score 30 points plus, he's probably going to get 100 yards. So I like a lot. I don't think you can avoid these pieces for Minnesota unless something goes really wrong.
No, I mean, I don't see a lot of paths to Minnesota just like completely falling flat this game. But I mean, I could definitely see paths to Darnold not being optimal, but
correct.
One of these Minnesota guys is going to get there. I have no doubt about that.
The Cam Akers, 10% projected. probably a 35-yard guy, 40-yard guy, maybe no touchdown, hopefully.
I doubt I play any Cam Akers tonight.
Correct. I only play Homer over Akers because Swift is injured. What if he gets injured mid-game? Homer's probably next up.
Yeah. They also have Evans active. I don't think Evans is that bad of a back.
No.
Personally. I think that the place to go cheap today, is Algier at 4.4.
Let's go to that game then. Let's go right to Atlanta then. Go ahead.
Yeah, he would kind of be the one cheap running back that I like. I'm not going to be playing any Madison or Abdullah, really.
No.
My running back pool is going to be pretty thin today. It's going to be Algier, McCormick, Bijan, Aaron Jones, Swift, assuming he plays, and potentially some Homer. I don't mind it. I don't mind him in a trail script because he is a good pass catching running back.
Who?
Homer.
Yeah.
So I don't hate your point. I'm not going to go nuts with him, but that would kind of be my running back pool today.
I'm just seeing like a 430, and let's say he gets one touchdown, right? So then you've got a 13.4K guy, and I'm thinking he has to probably get a touchdown at that 4K range because there's tight ends who are cheaper are probably going to be better.
If running back busts, I could see him like getting there with like 8 points. He could easily have like 4 catches for 40 yards, like if they're trailing.
Yeah, but would that put it in flex for you? Because
no. I think he's more of like a 2 running back build as opposed to flex. Personally,
because
here's the other for everyone else to bust.
Yeah, because here's the other thing is that this game, Atlanta's tough. London, Mooney, and McLeod all put up decent numbers for receptions, targets, yards, and London's mid-sixes, so that's a consideration. But yeah. Ray is 45, Mooney is 55. So you're in the Chicago Bears wide receiver position for price. But then you have Pitts. Pitts is cheaper than all of those running backs we talked about. Pitts, why does Kirk Cousins not throw touchdowns? He's either giving it to Bijan or he has no one to throw. He has no tight end who's catching it. Is Kyle Pitts just completely broken, Bryce? Or a 4K Kyle Pitts at 9% owned?
Yeah, that's the thing. Nobody's going to play Pitts because everyone's going to be playing Bowers and Hawkinson. So, I don't mind Pitts and Kmet as leverage on this slate at all. Yet another Kyle Pitts 3-point game when I play him, and I'm going to be over. But
yeah, well, I'll probably be 20% Pitts.
I was about to say the same range for me.
Yeah,
I'm going to end up getting a good amount of double tight end here.
And I don't think you'd have 2 4K that range. I think he takes out Homer. I think he takes out Algier. I think he takes out those 4K running backs we talked about if Pitts goes for 12 or he gets a touchdown. I think he really changes the slate for tight end if he gets a touchdown.
100%. The thing that I like Drake London a lot. I think he's gotten super unlucky just in general. Give me a good stat on Pitts. That's pretty much
the stat, brother.
Just more
took him over Ja'Marr Chase.
It's more of a game theory play at this point. With those other 2 guys being total chalk and wanting to play them. So
yeah, and I think the Mooney, McLeod, London's like a mini Garrett Wilson. He just gets so many targets, and he just doesn't. They just don't score touchdowns. They've had no passing touchdowns in 4 weeks. So
yeah, I personally think that changes a bit today, but we'll see on that. The Falcons do need to win this game. What's their record now?
Tampa Bay won.
They're 6-7. So, if they win and they're expected to win, they're only 1 game off the division.
Right.
So, I think they're going to do everything they can to win.
No Max Crosby. Big for Vegas. Second highest total. I mean, they got 26 points up for Atlanta, Bryce.
Yeah. If you do fade Bijan, I would definitely play other Atlanta pieces. Like I would play Algier and like London at like a minimum.
All right, here's the fourth piece is the Vegas Raiders. I mean, 22% of people are spending down to play Desmond Ridder. 22.
I'm not going to get that much Ridder. As an underdog quarterback, I would much rather go heavier on Caleb Williams than Desmond Ridder here.
Yeah, I don't. I think people may see the $700 cost savings, but it's not like it's a $7,000 versus $4,800 price difference. And I think if I eliminate Swift and Ridder, let's say they play them together, I mean that's 40% of the field is doing that. 30 to 35 to 40% of the field.
I would personally rather eliminate Ridder than Swift, just because I think relatively I don't mind these quarterbacks on the slate. I do mind the running backs.
I do like Sincere McCormick. 42% of the field likes him too. I think he's going to be probably a top option today. Huh?
Yeah, running back is just so weak.
So weak.
What do we have? 71 on Bijan and 57 on Aaron Jones. I just think a lot of the field.
85% of the field is probably going to play both.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the cash build. I would play them both in cash. I think the way to get different here is just to kind of eliminate running back flex. I just find it hard seeing three of these guys opting.
Considering the upside for these receivers at the same price point on this slate and the high scoring, you're 1,000% correct. Myers could do it. All three of Atlanta could do it. 2 on Minnesota could do it. 3 on Chicago could do it. So why play a third in flex? And that's not even including tight ends. That's just wide receivers.
Sabre does not really have 2 tight end lineups being very owned. So I think I'm going to be well over 2 tight end lineups on this slate.
Because then you got Michael Mayer here, $3K. Okay, so he's $900 cheaper than Pitts. He could outscore Pitts. He's well cheaper than some of these other running backs. If people figure out the script with Bowers, is just key on Bowers and hope for the best with Michael Mayer, then an 8-point game from Michael Mayer at $3K is incredible.
Yeah, one thing I think that's important to bring up on the slate is that you don't need to play like dust balls. Like I wouldn't play anyone with – what's your minimum projection that would make your teams? Mine's going to be like 5.
I've eliminated. This isn't Showdown for me, so you're exactly right. I've eliminated everyone. That my lowest projection right now. I kept Charlie Warner in there and like a Johnny Munt just to see if I needed it on a max build. I don't know yet, but I'm getting 0 exposure. So Sabre's saying you don't fucking need him.
I just ran 150 and just because there's not a lot of stuff to pay for. It's like Bijan, Jefferson, Bowers are like the 3 guys to pay for.
Yeah, unless because the Minnesota does use all 3 tight ends, Munt, Oliver, and I've seen them get touchdowns. I don't know if they'll do it ahead of Hawkinson, but it pisses me off if they get 8 points. The thing is,
Oliver has 1 catch for 6 yards and a touchdown. Is he optimal? I don't think so.
So that's 7.6 at 2,700.
I'm not sure that gets there. Like if you don't need the salary relief, like the minimum score could easily be like 10. On the win.
If you pay like, well, if Mayer outscored Mayer could outscore him by just going 3 for 45.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not getting to any of these secondary Minnesota tight ends. In Showdown, I'll have a bit.
That's why you're exactly my mindset, and I did it with Showdown yesterday. So I'm gonna flip this. I just want to narrow out things that don't make sense in terms of lineups that likely won't happen. Why waste 15, 20, 25, 30 in a max build of just shit? Let's get down to the nucleus of what likely is going to happen here. So that's a good point.
I think another mistake that people make on these slates is that like they don't play guys against their defense, or they don't play enough guys against their defense. Because
throw out the window.
That's something that doesn't matter to me at all here, simply because, like, if a quarterback throws a pick six, like, that defense is nutted, and you could easily have a stack against them. And it's a way to get very unique. It's not like any of these defenses are something that I really want to play. Defense is so random. I'm almost always over the underdog defenses and under on the favorite defenses here. I'm seeing the Falcons at 14%. That makes no sense to me.
No. They like the Raiders because of the interception equity with Kirk Cousins. Yeah. And that's fair. I mean, the Falcons could put up 31 points and the Raiders be an optimal defense.
Yeah. The one thing I like hard code on this slate where I set like min and max stuff is quarterback and defense.
Correct. Absolutely. Those are the pivot points for me too.
So
might be a little tight end as well today too, but
yeah, I kind of want to do, I think that's the most important stuff on this slate. Like 45% Darnold, 30% Williams, rest Cousins, kind of just screw Ritter.
Yeah.
At 23% owned, like, I would play like 10% Ritter if I did more.
I thought Ritter was going to be 8%. Okay. So I said I'm probably going to be matching the field. And all
I do think 23 is a high ownership projection on him. I would take the under on that.
Okay. Let's say
I'd say he's what, 15
to 18. Yeah.
I think his chances of being optimal here are like 5%.
Or worse. Right. So we're going to be over the field on each of those quarterbacks.
Yeah, I want to be over the field on every other quarterback. And then defense, I'll hard code probably 30, 20, 20.
I'd be minimum 20% of any defense, correct?
Yes. And I would want the Vikings to be my highest owned defense.
Yes. Match the field, that's fine.
And I would be totally fine playing like a Williams, like Bears trail script where like the Vikings get out to like a big lead and like Williams is throwing picks and taking sacks and then kind of gets there at the end.
Do you set a rule that every quarterback has to match up with at least one of the defenses in your builds?
No.
Okay.
I'm more worried about like getting minimum pass catchers with the quarterbacks. Like, I don't think any of these quarterbacks gets there naked. Like, at all. I
just don't think there's enough players on this to do it. I think you're just going to run into someone.
Yeah, 100%. I'll likely have most of my teams double stacked tonight.
Yeah, I think we're in the same spot. I think tight end, low owned, cheap tight end, Pitts and Mayer, I think will be very much in play today, and help be a good leverage point.
Yeah. We have Mayer at 5.22. Right now my cutoff is 5-point projection, so I got 5 tight ends in play here. Double Vegas and then the starters on the other ones. You want to touch on Showdown real quick?
Yeah.
These games. We are the Showdown Kings. I'll run through this real quick, mainly focusing on captains. The Bears game I have at captain, I want to be way over Jefferson. I'm going to play Aaron Jones some. Probably Hawkinson, Addison would be my 4 guys from Minnesota. And then DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Adunze, and you don't like Smith, so we can exclude him, but I would like to include him a little bit at captain.
Do you include Caleb Williams?
If I was including a quarterback here, I would include Caleb ahead of Darnold just because he does have enough targets to like spread it out as to where like he could be the raw highest scorer on the Bears.
Yeah.
I think, and he runs. Like he could easily run a touchdown in.
Unlike last night where I just looked at it and I said, Charbonnet or Jacobs are clearly in a tighter game, clearly the number 1 and 2 potential captains, and it made it a lot easier. This game, Chicago, Minnesota, Bryce, you rarely mention 7 captains, but legitimately it could be.
Yeah, I just like the skill players in this game. I think the next game's way more condensed. With Vegas and Atlanta, I only had Bijan, Drake London,
yep,
and Darnell Mooney were my only 3 captains from Atlanta. And then from Vegas, my only captains were Myers, Bowers, and McCormick.
I honestly think you could play the Atlanta. You could probably play the Atlanta side only in terms of captain if you want to get real sporty.
Yeah, I mean, I just hate Ritter. I'd be much more willing to play Ritter on Showdown than I would on the 2-gamer.
So Ritter's 8,800 and 40% owned in flags.
Here we go. We need score projections on the games.
Okay. You go first let's do the Minnesota-Chicago game first. You go first.
Minnesota-Chicago, I'm going to go, 28-24? I kind of like the Bears to cover here, and I like the over.
I think the Vikings score 4. I'm having them 31. Worry about 31-23 Vikings.
So you like the Vikings in the over? We're pretty close there. I'm
Correct.
Just a little lower scoring and a little bit of a closer game.
On the Atlanta side, I think Bijan runs in 2. I think Kirk throws 1 and probably 2 interceptions. I think 27 Atlanta. It could be just I think Sincere gets 1 and then 3 field goals.
I can easily see that.
27-16.
20. I kind of like that. I had it 28-17.
Okay, so you have two scores.
Yeah,
Man, I can't see Desmond. I mean, I watched AOC play. It was fucking abysmal. Once they keyed on Brock Bowers, it was bad, dude. And he was the chalk. He was our chalk quarterback that week.
Yeah, I like McCormick here on the Raiders side, to be honest. You know, we've talked about how weak running back is.
Yeah.
I think him and Bowers are my 2 favorite Raiders plays by far. You know, without playing Ritter, I'm likely not going to get to like a lot of like these secondary Raiders plays, like Trey Tucker, for example.
No.
I think I would prefer Max Mayer to him. Tucker will be in my pool, but I don't think I'm going to be playing any of these 3K receivers. I just don't think it's needed.
Tucker I have at – oh, shit. Where'd my entire build go? It's gone. There it is, build 1. Tucker I have at – he's a $4,100 play, right?
Yes.
I put him at a 5-point, which I think is generous for him on a slate like this, and he's in none of my 150. And he's a guy I can uncheck because I'm like, you got Algier there.
The Sims also want to pair him with Ritter if you're playing him, and then send at every spot. So if you're eliminating Ritter, it's going to eliminate or take down these Raiders secondary guys.
That's why I'm sorting by projection. I'm just going to go with my projections and go with it, which I did last night on the Showdown slate. But you're forcing a lot of it. You're forcing defense. You're forcing quarterback. I might force a little bit of tight end too, and just hope and maybe force out a running back and flex, and either do a wide receiver or a tight end. And I think that's the build. I think we got it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we've eliminated half the field.
Really good about this. Like, there are sometimes 2-gamers that I don't feel good about. I feel really good about this one.
I think we've eliminated half the field. If this works out, based on what they're going to do.
Ritter and Tucker went to Cincy together.
All right, I'm locking Ritter and Tucker.
I'd prefer Tucker to Ritter. I don't really see myself getting there with Ritter.
Lee Price has some good insight. Lock Caleb rushing over. Yeah, I think he does a lot of the groundwork. Mayor receiving prop keeps creeping up.
I like Caleb a lot here. I'm going to include him a captain.
I'm telling you, I'm playing it. What's my native settings right now for tight end for Michael Mayer? What am I getting? I am getting 52% Mayer at an 8-point projection. That's a little much, but it'll be high. So, well, are we ever going to see Mark again?
Yeah, he's kicked off. Sean's on.
You know what? He always gives you hell for not being on some shows. It's time for you to retaliate right now. He deserves it.
I'm going to retaliate by winning the 500K and shoving it in his face.
Did he tell you the Boynton story?
Which one?
The cab story, the Uber story?
Yes.
Maybe Boynton will get me on here one day and tell it.
I want Boynton on just to – I love doing shows with Boynton. Those baseball shows I do with him are some of my favorite ones.
Yes.
Kind of past the time.
What's your min salary, or are you just going to push it up?
My min salary on these slates is typically pretty high. Because, like, if I have money for Bijan or Justin Jefferson,
I want to spend it.
I want them.
Like 49.3?
I'm probably going to go even higher. Probably like 49.6. I think 49.3 is fine. I think anything lower than that is too low. I don't worry about dupes as much as other people on these two gamers. I think that, I think the Sims do a good job, and this is why I like the simulations for NFL, of getting you different, especially on short slates and showdowns, without having to spend or without having to leave money simply to get different.
Or do a huge number of uniques. Yes. It's just sorting your conviction into lineups that are more highly to return against the field. I'll let it do it.
Yeah, like when I've had a bunch of my big showdown hits this year, like it's been weird teams like CD without Dak, stuff like that. It kind of pushes that, and just line up constructions that you can only get to with simulations. Really, like you would never hand build some shit like this. That's how I prefer to get different.
Whereas I can see receivers being there without the quarterback. I don't, unless Caleb just goes nuts and runs in Josh Allen 3 touchdowns. I don't see it. Caleb's the only one I could see going raw here, but everyone else. Bryce posting soccer winners on the live show. That's beast shit. Who are we rooting for right now?
Premier League game starts in 2 minutes. We took West Ham. Plus 360. Our soccer bets were hot this weekend.
Hey, we got it all. Every sport. Every single sport. Bryce is always in there. Sean Smith, congrats. Thanks for joining the show. Mark, hopefully see you Thursday. When's he getting back from the Netherlands?
Hopefully never.
That's the right answer.
Just
stay there. Hopefully there's no internet there. Later, brother.